Good afternoon, everybody. My name's David and Rufty. This video is being made for my Business 200 course, where we're going to be talking about a few different chapters. This specific video is going to be talking about Chapter 7, which is entrepreneurship. So we're going to be talking about just the main bullet points in this video, so let's get into it. First, we need to ask ourselves, what are the three different types of entrepreneurs out there? There are three different types. First, you have the classic entrepreneur. The classic entrepreneur is somebody who is a traditional risk taker who likes to start their own company, and they usually prefer to use their own creativity and add their own innovative ideas into the company. They often want to start these businesses for their own personal satisfaction or for the financial lifestyle that they can offer. The next type of entrepreneur would be a multipreneur. Now, a multipreneur is a traditional entrepreneur, but they tend to prefer to deal with more than one business. A traditional entrepreneur deals with one business, and that's usually what they stick with. But a multipreneur likes to start one business. Once that business gets to a self-sufficient level, they like to move on to another business. They thrive on the idea of continually being challenged to make a business successful. The third type of business owner is an intrapreneur. Now, these entrepreneurs don't own their own company, but they do prefer to apply their creativity to someone else's company. So they save all their risk taking for someone else, but they like to apply their creativity and their vision to that person's company. So those are the three different types of entrepreneurs. Now, moving on to the next bullet point we need to ask ourselves is, what type of characteristics do successful entrepreneurs share? While we could all understand they do share a lot of characteristics, they share 9 very special ones. The first one is that they're very ambitious. You have to be very ambitious to be a small business owner. The second one is you have to be extremely independent. You have to be able to work on your own. You have to be self-confident. You have to be a risk taker. You definitely have to be a visionary. You have to be creative. You must be energetic. You have to be passionate, and you have to be committed to what you're doing. Those are the main 9 characteristics of a small business owner. While there's many other characteristics, these are the main topics that we're going to be thinking. Now, the next thing we need to discuss is, how do small businesses contribute to the U.S. economy as a whole? Well, for starters, nearly 80% of the nearly 29.7 million small businesses in the United States have no traditional payroll, which means they don't have any traditional employees, which means that they're ran by small groups of people, or they're ran by couples like married couples, partners, things along those lines. The next thing we need to understand is that the companies with fewer than 50 employees, they may have fewer than 50 employees, but they still pay 20% of America's complete payroll. 20% is a good amount, especially when you look at it like they have less than 50 employees. Now, with the companies with 500 employees or more, they pay more than 41% of America's payroll. So even these small companies with 50 employees or less, or 500 employees, they still pay a significant amount into the entirety of the U.S. payroll when it comes to small businesses. Now, if you're planning on starting your own business, there is several steps that you need to take in order to determine if this is even a feasible idea. First and foremost, you need to give yourself a self-assessment. You need to ask yourself if you have all the characteristics that it takes to be a successful business owner. Do you have the time? Do you have the ambition? Do you have the drive? Do you have the thrive to make everything happen? First, you have to assess yourself, and then from there, you have to assess the idea. So once you determine that you think you would be a good candidate to be a small business owner, now you need to come up with an idea. Whether it be an idea or a product or a service, you need to come up with something that you can market to people, that you can find a way to sell to them that they would want to buy. The next topic in the chapter that we're going to talk about is, why does managing a small business present a challenge for the business owner? Well, there's many answers to that, but the ultimate takeaway from the chapter you need to understand is, the reason why it's a challenge is because the owner has to cover every basis within the organization. So they have to deal with hiring and firing, training and managing employees, dealing with payroll and dealing with expenses, as well as continuing to work for the organization so it can become successful while doing everything else that I just described. So that's one of the main reasons why it's a challenge to be a small business owner, because you have so much to do and it's all pretty much in your lap. Now, next in the chapter is, what are some advantages and disadvantages for having a small business? Well, there's a lot of reasons on both sides of the fence, but ultimately in this chapter it basically tells you that one of the few advantages of owning your own business is the independence you'll have, whether it be financial independence or personal independence. They're all the same thing. With that being said, a lot of people like to own their own small businesses because they think it gives them a better lifestyle. It gives their overall quality of life a little bit better of an overview there. Now, some of the disadvantages would be that you have more difficulty attaining financing when it comes to renovations, improvements, stuff like that. Also, complying with federal regulations is much more expensive when you're a small business owner because you don't have the capital to back anything up. So, while there is many caveats on both sides of the fence, these are few of the biggest takeaways that we're looking to take away from this chapter. Next, the chapter goes over the Small Business Administration and how they help small businesses achieve their goals. With that being said, the Small Business Administration has a lot of things that they can help small businesses with, but ultimately they offer financial assistance to the business when they can't obtain financial assistance elsewhere. With that being said, the Small Business Administration can also help guide the small business owner to banks that are willing to lend out loans. So when the small business owner is unable to get their own financing or unable to obtain a loan, they can call the Small Business Administration, and the SBA can assist them with getting these types of loans or these type of assistance. Lastly, in this chapter, they go over with what trends have been shaping entrepreneurship and small business ownership over the past 20 years. Now, over the past 20 years, many women and many minorities have become business owners because they've realized the potential success that you can get out of owning a business. This is one of the many biggest changes that's happened over the past 20 years, and I think it's great because it helps diversify businesses as a whole, and it gives everybody the opportunity to be successful. Anybody that has an idea or any kind of creative niche, they now have the opportunity to be successful, and that's what's great about entrepreneurship as a whole.